Good morning, everyone. Last week, I came across an article about the new gene-edited vine for winemaking, and as a passionate wine enthusiast, I'm concerned that my favorite drink may be contaminated with a new and natural variety that was genetically engineered, which could alter the flavor of wine or more worryingly affect my health. Like many consumers, I'm concerned about this new development, and we are wondering if this new vine is safe and if it will impact the taste and the quality of the wine. I'm George, the presenter of this program, The Food Chain, and today we will explore this new development in viticulture, the new gene-edited vine for winemaking that are resistant to a prevalent fungal disease, responsible for significant yield losses each year in the wine industry. To discuss this question, we are joined by a panel of experts: Dr. Rashid, a plant biologist and a plant genetics who lead the team that developed this gene-edited vine; Hanifa, a specialist in bioethics and regulation of genetically modified organisms; and Edward, a wine grower with 25 years of experience in viticulture. Let's start with you, Ashi. Could you describe the recent development of your research group in the field of viticulture?
So recently we developed Europe's first gene-edited Chardonnay grapevines using CRISPR-Cas9 technology. Where we use this technology to switch off a gene called DMR6.1, which allowed the vines to be resistant against downy mildew disease. This boosts the plant's natural defenses without adding foreign DNA. The new vines are now being tested in the field to grow healthy grapes with fewer use of fungicides.
And what is downy mildew disease and how does it affect the vines?
Well, Chardonnay vines are highly susceptible to downy mildew, which is a common disease caused by Homicide P. viticola. This pathogen invades young leaves or young berries by entering through the stomata and preventing them from closing in response to water deficit, which causes unrestrained transpiration, thereby repressing photosynthesis, which adversely impacts the yield formation and fruit ripening, and also impairs the functionality of certain genes that produce defense proteins to protect the plant from the disease.
And how essentially this breakthrough in the field of viticulture? And how does it help grape growers?
So this breakthrough reduces the need for fungicides, preserves grape quality, and supports sustainable wine production at lower cost. It's also the first gene-edited wine trial in Europe using CRISPR to protect the wines without altering their identity, indicating an important step toward eco-friendly resilient viticulture in a changing climate. This means growers can reduce the need of chemicals, thus saving money and labor, while also protecting the environment. It also means healthier vines with more yield and stable harvests even in tough seasons.
Ashit, how do you see gene-editing contribution to climate resilience in viticulture?
So, with more heat, drought, and disease pressures, traditional vines are under threat. Gene editing lets us quickly develop vines that can adapt without waiting for decades for conventional breeding. It's a powerful tool to protect the wine heritage in a changing world.
Ashit, some consumers are concerned about the safety of gene-edited crops. How do you ensure these vines are safe? And how does it benefit white customers?
Safety is our top priority. The only change was made was switching off one gene that weakens the plant's immunity. The grapes still grow, ripen, and taste the same. These wines go through rigorous testing to meet all safety and environmental standards. So, definitely they will be safe to consume. For wine lovers, it also means enjoying the same quality and character of traditional Chardonnay wines, but from a vine that's choosing fewer chemicals and farming more sustainably. It's a wine you can feel good about drinking.
Ashi, how do you make use research transparent to both regulators and the public?
We make our research transparent by holding open field days and by working with local institutions. We believe that people should know what's growing in their backyard and why it matters. Transparency builds trust, not with regulators, but with the whole community.
And what message would you send to the policymakers who are still undecided about gene edited in agriculture?
Gene editing is a tool, not a shortcut. It's about solving real world problems like reducing the need and use of chemicals and preserving local crops. We ask policymakers to consider the science, the safeguards, and the potential to support more resilient, sustainable farming.
And finally, Ashit, what are your next steps with this project?
So, our next steps are that we are monitoring the field trial closely to evaluate disease resistance, food quality, and environmental safety. If results continue to be positive, we hope to collaborate with more vineyards and work towards broader regulatory acceptance.
Thank you very much, Ashit. Let's continue with you, Hanifa. What are gene-edited organisms and why do we need it? And what is wrong with natural organisms?
Gene-edited organism, we formally call it GMO or genetically modified organism. They are plants, animals, and other organisms that have been modified using gene technology. So it is also organisms that have inherit modified traits from another GMO. Why do we need it? There are various reasons why scientists do this genetic modification to organism. For fine editing, the challenge that is conquered by the researcher is the susceptibility of vines to the fungus or to mildew. So therefore, the innovation can help many vine farmers and reduce the pesticides they use. Many benefits can be taken, like higher reproducibility of the forms, and then lower exposure of pesticides to the environment. However, as regulator, we still need to ensure that products are safe for the people.
And what are the key ethical issues around gene-edited crops? Should consumers be concerned?
Ethically, we need to make sure that genetic modification process of crop doesn't have any significant effect on food safety, environmental impact, and identifying risks that might happen. Therefore, our regulation strictly monitors the activity of the research in every step before they enter the market.
And what does the government do to protect people from the possibility of harm caused by GMOs or gene-edited organisms?
So first, we ask the detailed information to the researcher about the procedure they are going through, like what genes are modified and then what foreign gene introduced to the organism, where these genes come from, what the effect of the modification, etc. Next, we assess it, the risk, the potential, of problem that might happen, and how significant it is, what kind of mitigation that can be done. When all the requirements are met, they have the permission to do the field research with specific criteria. Our team will do the audit occasionally, and they have to report to us regularly. I am sure it's not easy for the researcher to have the field uh, research is accepted by us. The rigorous assessment and criteria must certainly met and fulfilled. And even the post-market evaluation is also routinely monitored.
And what kind of GMOs are already sold in Australia? Do they have to state on the label that they are GMO products?
For now, there are 5 genetically modified crops that have been approved for cultivation in Australia. There are cotton, canola, Indian mustard, banana, safflower, and yes, they by food standard regulation. The GM foods and ingredients, including food additives and also the processing aids that contain novel DNA or novel protein must be labeled with the words genetically modified. The labeling statement is also required for the GM foods that have an altered characteristic like the nutritional profile. For GM foods that have an altered characteristic, uh, and then compared to the counterpart of non-GMO.
So, in conclusion, can the government ensure that the people that the GMOs that we consume are safe?
Yes, it is especially done by the FSANS, the Food Standard of Australia and New Zealand, which has conducted a thorough safety assessment of all GM foods before they are allowed to in the food supply. This assessment ensures that unapproved GM food are safe and nutritious as the comparable conventional food that is already in Australia and New Zealand food supply.
Thank you, Hanifa.
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue with you, Edward. Do you identify as a pro or anti-gene edited products? If so, why?
Um, I believe in gene edited products. I think they're a part of the future that we as farmers need to embrace. And from my understanding, they make our job easier, right? And cheaper. While we might pay a premium for the product, it does initially reduce costs in our pesticides and other treatments. It's also better for the environment and future farming.
And do you have any concern with using gene edited products?
Yeah, I am concerned about the public acceptance of gene edited products. I think that the public doesn't know what genetically modified means and what is in the product that they're consuming. So I'm concerned about that.
And would you implement these gene edited crops on your wine farm?
Yes, I would. I would have gene edited grapes on my farm. This is because I want to be part of the future, and I think that gene edited products will become widely accepted. So, as one of the first users myself of these grapes, that can be a point of difference. Downy mildew is also a massive problem I face on my farm in Queensland. Given the warm, humid climate, if I could grow crops that are innately resistant to the disease, this would save costs.
And what about the other wine growers? Would adopt this gene edited wine vine?
Yeah, I think they would. If they understand that this vine poses no significant risk and would give the benefits, then I think they could learn to grow these crops as this vine is resistant to a common fungal disease that we have up here.
According to Dr. Ashid, the benefit of these gene edited grapes applies to both the consumers and the farmers. Do you share the same perspective?
Yeah, I do. I agree with what Dr. Rashid has said. I have personally experienced the benefit for farmers of growing these gene-edited crops and know that the regulations for safety and environmental impact are just as stringent as for normal grapes. I believe the taste and experience of the wine is even better for consumers, and they know that the grapes are ethically produced and better for the environment.
Dr. Hanifa discussed the process of getting approved gene-edited crops. Do you think, as a farmer, you could decide whether you use gene-edited grapes based on this information provided by the government?
I think that farmers need to do their own research. I think government officials will provide all the relevant information, but everyone's circumstances are different, right? Based on my experience, there have been no negative side effects from using these grapes, and I would take the advice and information of the government and base my decisions off that and my understanding of the situation.
Thank you, Edward. After listening to these insights of our panel of experts, I open to try one made with this new gene-edited vine, as it is clear to me that this new gene-edited vine is safe for customers and will not impact the taste of the wine. Additionally, this development could make wine production more sustainable by reducing the use of fungicides and increasing resilience to climate change. Thank you to our incredible panel of experts, and thank you to our audience for joining us to this episode of The Food Chain.